Thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in, and we'll do the same without wasting a single second of your time. Bada bing, bada boom, we go into the charts. So it looks like Nasdaq had a little bit of a pullback into this wick area of the daily candle of this June 8th Thursday level. We marked it off prior to it reaching here because we were looking at breaking new levels, and we were coming back into that zone, and we put out a interesting signal to the group here. We had basically, as it reached into that level, we were getting some rocket ships on our indicator, as well as some bullish divergence and bullish. We took that trade and some bullish divergence for that CVD on the bullish divergence on the CVD, and it retraced into that level. So interesting enough, we already took that trade for the day because we were actually off today, and this retraced into a 786 level on a smaller time frame for that confirmation entry level. We'll go and show you how that works exactly. So even on this microstructure back here, came down into this region, hit that wick level and pulled out. So let's go through on our oscillators. Shout out to anyone that may or may not stop in later. So we had those rocket ships locked in the moment. And yeah, what is this little indicator, you say? Momentummaster.info for more. Scroll down to features, toggle everything at your leisure using the toggle switch to see Bitcoin at its bottom before we knew it was a bottom in November. And you can see the stochastic array with the rocket ships that take off as they do. Just a reminder, for the BTC trade, we also had that back here. We were talking about that 26K retrace into the 786 level here, and the rocket appeared on our indicators. We're seeing the schematic, and this schematic just appears over and over again. So this pull out from the bottom zone, and sure enough, it did. So this thing on the website is just a schematic of the different components. You got the trend cloud, the baselines, so on and so forth, and it works on all assets in the world. The stochastic array rocket ship most on the Nasdaq was one example, and sure enough, it pulled out from that region. Are we getting a pullback into a deeper retrace level here? Let's go ahead and see what is happening with the fair value gaps and whatnot. We did have a fair value gap recovered up here that's no longer valid, and we do have some that were tapped up here, which we were looking at earlier today as well. I was sending that out to one of my students here. We were looking at this hitting this level and rejecting for that short idea coming up into this region. So yeah, when I have the day off to look at the markets, you get the markets in the palm of your hand for sure. If only I could be so blessed as to look at it every day without having to work a 9 to 5, I would be having the markets for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So let's go ahead and get into the pocket before the open here. We can go ahead and mark off the hour of power here. We are not pressed to give anything back. We are already up a cool $400 for the day currently. If we take out the noise reduction system of the Renko charts, we can just look at price for what it's worth, and we'll do that on the 32 bar here, possibly coming back to the settlement line at 664. Do we get rejected off the settlement line from today or not? You have some unrequited liquidity zones up at the 740 region and the 809 region if we come back to those imbalances, but we have been putting in lower lows. So do we continue on that path to the downside? Let's go ahead and see, looking like you're getting some C class divergence on the MACD here. So if we go to the Dixie, let's go see how the Dixie's holding up. Dixie. So we were putting the Dixie out into a retrace mode, coming back into those golden pocket regions. It's tapped off the 618 a few times here. Does it come deep retrace into this fair value gap region, into the deep zone? The deep zone would be over in this region at the 105 region. This is why we had this pulling back to there perhaps. If the dollar's basically been consolidating, not a real pullback, so it's been causing the risk on assets of the indices to pull back as they are taking a hit, and the store value assets like gold and Bitcoin have been seeing a bit of a surge to the upside. Gold still continuing on that path to the upside here. I think you're getting some fatigue time frames here, so let's go ahead and switch to a higher time frame and see what it has locked in thus far for gold. Gold still holding the super trend on the 4 hours since October 9th, so that's a pretty strong super trend. The trend dots also the places where it's receiving the bounces off the trend dots here, so this could continue in a manner for some time now. This is a quite nice looking ascending channel of bullishness that has yet to break. The one noteworthy thing is the cross down event of the 4 hour. How deep of a pullback does that give you? You had that pullback to the trend dot, and now we're consolidating back up. If we go ahead and expand our vision to the 6 hour here for the gold, you can see that gold is also crossed down on the 6, but in this bullish, you haven't even broken this light channel to the upside, so they're extremely bullish above the trend dots here. Going to Dixie. Dixie saw that cross down event of the 6 hour play out with the water trickling down the mountain as it retraced down to here. Now you're in a rotational possible reaccumulation zone. The white clouds starting to appear beneath in that pocket. Basically consolidating sideways. If you use a regression trend and click twice, you can get it in the channel. Don't need any bull flags, no patterns necessary. Patterns are tertiary to liquidity, math, and momentum. All you need is momentum and liquidity and math. Patterns are human constructs that do not exist in the price action other than after the fact. Alright, so if we go into the... and any of those people saying join their group so they can upsell their courses and stuff are total shills. This is undeniable. This is undeniable. It's preempting the market. I just lack eyeballs. I lacked eyeballs in the moment in this indicator, and it's just insane. I would put all these stupid gurus out of work. It's alpha, man. So frustrating. Shout out to everyone that is here. So let's go get in the pocket here. We're opening in 15 minutes. The funny thing is a lot of these YouTubers with their 50,000 subscribers base or whatever, they just keep churning in new meat, fresh meat to the grinder with their false promises and false hope. The amount of times I've seen them bull trap or bear trap their audience was just insane. Shorting the bottoms and longing tops and stuff. No concept of premium versus discount whatsoever. Just going solely on emotion. But their audience has amnesia and they don't want to admit how lame of a leader that they've dipped their faith into in time. Well, they literally flex on stream in a jacuzzi. Like, how cringe is that? Okay, so we're holding the super trend on the 1 minute, but the cloud is tilting in an angle here. We could retrace back down into the pools below. Let's go take a look at what fair value gaps exist beneath us. We already previously hit a zone here, so coming back into some of these pivot points would be strange. Let's look at ATAS and get in game mode here. So the ATAS on the session, we have negative 600 contracts of sell side induced. Previously we were in the tune of the 2K region. We're seeing this bullish divergence on the CVD. What do I mean by that? Well, you have here, for example, at the bottom, so you have a higher low, but you were inducing more sell side as you were making the higher low. So from here to there, you had 2,000 sell side generated as you're making higher low. So that was their signal to go rip it up into they liquidated all of the longs, and they were going to rip it up into the buy side, which they did. And so the divergence on the CVD is a thing, it's something to look at, which is why we set the settings as we do here. This is also a link in the description. If you want a 14-day free trial, you can check it out. I'm happy to share the settings on the indicators here for my layout with the session delta and the cumulative volume delta, and currently we're at 600 sell side. So they could go generate some more sell side here, and then if they generate more than 1,000 contracts while making a lower low, a higher low, then they could probably peel out. But looks like they just went and swept all the sell side out of the way. We're almost back at break even for the session. Came back to VWAP at 626 and the value area low at 593. Point of control up at 695. We could come up to that region, but they induced a lot of trading up there in the Asian session in the pre-market and ripped it down. Value area high at 715. And that is all she wrote for the ATAS as it stands now, with 10 minutes to open, as they retrace back down into some of the sell side after hitting the VWAP. And it's almost like I was watching this one guy, I'm not gonna name names, but he works with, he uses he uses like the same, he talks with bravado and matter of fact and everything. There's nothing matter of fact about trading. You know, I'm shocked when these things like the rocket ships play out. I designed each facet of the code, and every time it plays out, I'm in disbelief and shock when it does. And I've learned to trust it enough to take the trade, but at the same time I'm flabbergasted because I don't understand completely how each facet of the Rubik's Cube works. I designed each side of it, but I don't understand why it works the way it does exactly. It's fascinating, really. And it's just a matter of time when the exposure hits, when somebody notices, when somebody endorses, when somebody's actually kind enough to give the shout out. That will be the moment it hits the prominence. Because it's better than Market Cipher, it's better than all these indicator suites. It's actually real. It preempts stuff. It's not repainting. There's nothing about it that's fake. You just got to be patient enough to trust when the signals appear, when to take them. Not these little micro 30-second, 1 minute ones. You got to wait for the larger liquidity grabs like this. And then you can go heavy. But they don't appear all the time. It's like once a day. If that, sometimes. So learning to be more patient, that's one thing I need to also learn myself. Don't take all the trades in the world. It's not quantity, but quality of trades that is important. Quality over quantity, the qualia. And it's annoying because I had this entry checklist basically put out in February and nobody looked at it, and then they all like toot this one guy's horn as if he came up with it. He calls it his key. It's not his key. The information's out there for free. People just regurgitate ICT concepts as their own. And ICT regurgitates concepts that he got from Williams and everything. I highly recommend that you check out this one. If you want to see something interesting, watch Inner Circle Trader ICT full documentary, or the ICT fraud one. This guy exposing his concepts once and for all. It just shows that they're just not really that profitable or transparent. They're just all charlatans that upsell to their course or their mentorship. It's pretty pathetic. I'm not trying to say I'm the best guru in the world. That's the difference. I'm trying to show you that I have an indicator which will show you the promised land. You know, it's up to you to take the signal for what it's worth. You know. And yet the people that talk with bravado and certainty, like, you just gotta do it. It's easy. Everything is easy. It's like nothing is easy. It's all about patience. Okay, so we got 6 minutes. And we basically called BTC, we called Nasdaq all the freaking time, and then we get like no viewers. It's just so like ridiculous that 500 people watch like a douchebag talking about Family Guy impressions sitting in a hot tub. Like, what kind of like narcissistic ass world do we live in? It's so pathetic, man. I'm being real tonight. I'm not putting on a fucking mask. Let me see what the message is on the Discord from my phone. So the cloud is shifting here on the 1 minute. Suggest you got the bearish retest. It's coming back down. We were talking about generating more sell side. Here's the ATAS for you. You can see a bunch of buys also generated here. So there's negative 33 for that 2 minute. So that means they're possibly going lower at the value area low, because you know you don't really see that many buys at a bottom. You would see more. It's just like I've been, you know, I went to this other guy's group who teaches the whole Renko thing, and you know, I'll be honest, like, here, let me go ahead and pull it up. Like he gives out a bunch of free indicators. It's very clear. I like this whole bounce off the 50 SMA. It's basically my cloud idea too on the indicators. But it's not clear so much. Like, look, it bounces off the 50 and then pulls back and then rips to the downside. So what makes this one not play out and this one play out? So there's, you know, every system has a fail rate which is negligibly unpredictable. And while the noise reduction I use this Renko for the noise reduction, it gives me where these pools where it could pull back to eat the liquidity here. I use it as a liquidity hunter, so I don't have to write fair value gaps everywhere. And granted, it does bounce off of those levels, but if you don't see that where that is on, like, you don't see bullish divergence forming and things like that, like, how would you know that that's the time it pulls back or goes forward? And then let me talk real for a minute about ICT boys that like to say swear off indicators as if they're like they don't need them or something. Yes, support and resistance is real, like this is a level, but how do you know it's not going to chew through support and resistance like it did back here and ate through this support? Like there's times you need momentum as a gauge on top of support and resistance. Like the whole purist mentality of sucking the G-bob of you know, the ICT guy is just annoying to me. I don't understand the purist mentality of no indicators, because divergence is a real thing. It is real. And then the fatigue and the points that it rejects off of, which seem random, are not. So why would you remove yourself of information that you can use? Bounces off the cloud, for example. Rejections off of EMAs and super trends. All right, we're opening in 30 seconds. 30 seconds till the open. Pulling back to the, what is this? The adaptive moving average. The adaptive you can read about. It's a stable yet sensitive yet stable moving average. Think of it like VWAP. First introduced by Kaufman. Back tested by yours truly to a level that is accurate. So we could come back to this one easily. We broke through. We're still respecting the bearish super trend. The cloud is turning purple. Momentum, you could be failing off of this 4-minute cloud. Angle is starting to shift. Ooh, getting a little bit of a push here. Let's go see what the contracts dragged in. Boom, actually booming up here, taking out the buy side. That 653 sell side contracts got gobbled up. It essentially held that 30-second cloud if you were so gambly to play it. And the thing is I'm not jealous of these YouTubers with 50K sitting in hot tubs and stuff. I would never do that. I'm not as pompous and full of myself that I would ever try to flaunt money that I made off my trading group and not off trading. That is so cringe. Like, why doesn't he show his P&L or show his freaking like accounts? Because he doesn't make money trading. He spot trades his money from his audience. Making like 50K a month on selling pipe dreams. Even the private conversations I had with him, he's bad-mouthed his audience. I just don't see the need in like bringing it out there. He smokes weed off stream. He's a total hypocrite. Total hypocrite. But he doesn't care. He's just in it for the money. So that fast move, false move broke and basically took the liquidity of the buy side, brought it back to break even on a toss. So you see these blue, when you see a lot of blue like this, I would never long into blue like that. That is stopped out shorts and or trapped longs. So they're inducing some buy side. These are longs entering the fray here. These are new longs. If enough enter, they could just get more fuel to keep dragging it to the downside. This is just barcode station here. If you're playing this gambly chop, more power to you. I'm not going to partake anymore. Chances are with all the blue they're inducing, it's going to take the buyers to a sell side liquidity grab down below, We can remove this fib from that play out before. This fair value gap also played out, as did hitting that low. So we can go ahead and drag a fib from the low up to the high here and see, what do we go back to? Do we pull back into the equilibrium, which happens to be the super trend on the 4-minute? Looks like we are getting a pullback to the downside as they induced some of the buy side liquidity. And yep, taking it for a ride to the sell side. So the place you want to buy is actually when there's a lot of purple. You don't want to buy when there's lots of blue. That's when you're likely to get a reversal. That's at least what I've been noticing with the ATOS, is you get a lot of buyers at the tops of things and a lot of sellers at the bottom. So the longs appear at the purple zones and the shorts appear at the blue zones. Just when all the shorts are turning into buy side liquidity and or trapping longs, that's when it starts to pull back. So using this in conjunction, the liquidity in conjunction with the momentum alongside some math, is where it's at. The patterns and the hopium of drawing trend lines, no. Sophomoric retail noise. And then if I go to this, like, it would have given you like some fake out on the SMA too. So how do you know that this is the SMA's like really gonna do an inversion here? It's just too much noise reduction to give me like a solid proof of entry. Even if I go to the 8 bar, technically you had that pullback here at 610, and then you had some meandering around, and now you're possibly coming back from that. Need some alignment with some more confluence. Breaking that 4-minute cloud now. Came back to the super trend level at 74, broke beneath it. The trap has been sprung on some buy side, whoever longed that breakout. Shout out to everyone that's sticking with me on this journey and not buying some charlatans, repackaged nonsense. 2 years of back testing this indicator took, and it is genuine. There's no reason to abandon it, okay? There's no reason to say like anything about it. Anyone that is just trying to get you to say indicators you don't need them are people trying to upsell you to their mentorship. All right, we're pulling back to the deep retrace of this, and possibly it doesn't look like they're abating. Let's go ahead and see what type of liquidity is being induced. Negative 200 contracts taken in those 2 minutes, and 400 on the session in sell side taken, back from the previous grab to the upside, the stop hunt to the upside. Do you get a 786 bounce here? I'm not seeing enough confluence, and it's too aggressive for my liking right now, so I'm not going to take this. But you could get a 786 bounce here. I'm not seeing any confluence on my indicators. You are getting the money flying away stack abating, so you could get this little scalp bounce. I've taken it in the past. I just want an A+ setup only from now on. I mean, this could be your A+, who knows? Starting to get the money stack up here on the 32nd. If we look at the 1 minute, that flying away abated as well. What's up, everyone? Hopefully you're having a great day. I was trading took us off before the live, so I'm not looking to give back this $400, so I'm just chilling on my entries right now. We took the trade that we gave out to the group in the Discord with the rocket ships at the bottom there at 527. Took it for 90 ticks plus. Saw that CVD. Give credit where credit is due, you know what I mean? And I just gotta say, like, if you're in, like, man. So we're coming back. Let me go see, I want to see what this Fibonacci level is. I think it's the 786 of a bearish trend-based fib level. So if we reject off this bearish trend-based fib level, we could be going deeper into the fibs, where one fib level is down here. There's a fair value gap down in the 300s. So this is a larger time frame Fibonacci level. So if we reject off this 786, we could be eating through this low like butter and then going down into a C, an ABC to the downside. This 786 already hit, so we're going to delete that, and then we're going to do just a smaller time frame ABC here. Let's just do this. So coming back down to test the lows one more time seems to be like the play on the menu here as we come beneath that 236 sauce level. This was just a region I was looking at to represent the daily candle with the wick that we ate into to bounce off of. So if we come back to that, this is just where the candle closed and where the wick top was. This is the entire wick of that daily we started off the stream at. So it looks like we are going back to test the lows again, my friends. Going back to test the lows. Please don't be shy. Say what's up. Hit the like button. Do all that fun stuff. It can help push it to at least one or two other people. We are here every day. So that's why we did not take that. It was we're in a bearish trend-based fib level. That rejection off the 786. Are we coming back down to these levels? The money stack abated very quickly. Just not really my cup of tea here. Also the aggressive nature in which we peeled out from that stop hunt rise. They got some juicy contracts they're taking for a ride here. So I would expect at least this C wave to hit the low one more time. Just not trying to play the open so much these days. I don't want to give back what I got off the pre-market. You had this money flow divergence here with the flame and the do not enter on the 32nd with the cross down event of the baselines. Also bearish divergence on the 1 minute here as you were making a lower high, as you were making a higher high into the open on the 1 minute. These things appear in the moment. It's just too fast to even narrate sometimes. It's like an auction. It's like, and we're going to make a higher high, but we're making a lower high on the oscillator. This means the bearish divergence. You better take a short. It's like I can't communicate all the information at once. All right. Hopefully someone out there caught the short. The Williams could be dumping on you here on the 4-minute. Let's go see what the contracts dragged in. See, so you're still getting a lot of blue interest here. If I zoom in here, I can show you 186 buy contracts, which they're now taking for a ride. It just gives them more fuel to liquidate off of. So here, when you start to get a lot of sells, a lot of purple, that's what we want to see. More purple into support. Liquidate as many longs as you can.
Fatality.
And liquidate them all, and then get a big chunk of sell side generated. And then peel out from the sell side. I mean, we could be getting that double bottom effect. I'm not buying it just yet. So here they get to test how many of these are new shorts, because they already liquidated the long. So all of the sells here are new shorts that are trying to get paid. So the more they accumulate and then peel away from, they're going to use that sell side as liquidity out if they peel away from the sell side here and go up above the 525 area. So if it comes back above 525 and then does some aggressive play away from that zone, they could be taking it away from those sell side. But it looks like they're just meandering around trying to create that. There's no bullish divergence just yet. We missed it. But yeah, when they aggressively pulled up away from that sell side here, as we were talking, they basically pulled out against them, and now they're taking them for a buy side ride into the shorts. So these guys, this bounce is courtesy of this sell side liquidity, or the buy side liquidity of these shorts. This is very apparent by this candle. The new candle gives you new information, and seeing that these were sells after we already hit the sell side shows you that these are actually shorts. So they retrace back up into them to see where their stop is and liquidate them into buy side, and then they can induce more buys too, and then they use the buys that are generated here to determine if they want to retrace lower. Nothing is set in stone, and you see it's all generated by liquidity, and the liquidity basically coincides with the math at key levels where they have to reverse at, but they can dip a little bit lower. Got a money bag on the 30-second. Money stack on the Optima. Starting to get a double bottom C divergence idea on the 1 minute here. Coming back above the trend dot on the 30-second. So every time they go into the, see how the purple becomes the bottom and then the blues become the tops? The amount of blue that's generated in here shows me that it's kind of like a B. It's going to create another C leg down with a little bit of divergence play, perhaps. This is just to knock out some shorts. Getting the cross up on the 1 minute, cascading above the trend dots here. Technically, we did hit that double bottom of the daily wick a second time. We went a little bit lower this time, putting in a lower low. What's up, Nico? Thank you for stopping on in, as always. I was going on a little bit of a tirade about streamers and their tactics, let's say, for audience capture and how they capture the audience. Okay, so wow, really ripping it to the upside here. Technically, this was a double bottom play. I didn't like the aggressive nature, but it looks like it's coming right back to that region where it ripped down after taking out the the sell side. They're coming back to the buy side now. 1,000 contracts in buy side taken here in that 2 minutes. Insane. Now you're positive 700 buy side for the session, previously negative 500. So they went ripped right into the shorts. I was so close to hitting it around here when they ripped off that sell side. Back to the point of control and the VWAP. Point of control adjusting as the volume comes in. If they intend to go lower, that's probably what they did. Bitcoin does this all the time, where it would rip up and then go turn into a wick, basically. If they have too much liquidity, they need to refuel, so they go rip all the shorts a new one and or induce some longs. This is false move Monday, so this is a dangerous day to trade. The pre-market was much smoother than this, easier setups. I'll show you one setup that I took and then the other one that I took. So the one that I took here was a short up into this region. We were coming back to the golden pocket region, and I had a fair value gap up here at 708.50, and then we came up to that 708.50, hit it, boom, and then as we came beneath, we hit the 786 there too. And so I took this short down to this pool. I was frugal, I took it down to here, but we ripped into lower lows, and then I was looking at when we hit that region for the first time. I took this one with the rocket ships for a good 90 ticks up. So we're waiting for a clear setup. This is kind of gambly right now, so don't FOMO in, don't feel the FOMO. Technically, you could have seen that money bag. The money bags are pretty fire at support and getting that money stack up on the 30-second. The cross-up event on the 1 minute also had you at hello. Didn't like that the 4 minute was still bear hammering down. It didn't have any indecision. So this just immediately ripped back up to allow no longs in. I saw this on the Friday that we ripped to the downside, and then they continued to induce shorts the entire way up. So this could be actually a long day if they just decide to do that. Currently 1,000 buy side for the session. Created a fair amount of buy side hits up to the top here at 623. value area high at 625. I'm not interested in either side right now, just observing, waiting for a more confluence to the ideas. Shout out to everyone here. Getting the cross down event, and these cross down events will have you at hello with the baselines here. They're your first sign of reversals, just like we saw the cross up on the 1 minute and it just cascaded. You get that flash of the 30-second, the 1 minute still holding as you start to fade off of the 1 minute here and come back beneath the trend dots, and you have some bearish divergence. Maybe you could have some idea of a short, but not just yet. Getting the money flying away, but not going anywhere. If it is bullish, it will stay on this trend dot and keep ripping. So you could find that bullish divergence, or not the bullish divergence, you could find that bullish entry model. If you're playing a little bit horsey, you could play off the trend dots. I've seen the trend dots play aggressively. You just took back 300 sell side with that inducement drop as more shorts dollar cost average above the point of control. If you start to take the point of control and bounce up here, you could be seeing this bounce up above the value area high. Looks like it could be surging up here. This could be a little bit of a scalp if you were so inclined. The money flying away, abating, now starting to come back into a money stack scenario. We've only induced 1,000 buy side here. It could be ripping for some time, you never know. Could go up 3,000 contracts in the buy side direction. We have basically came back to the range as if nothing happened, and we did that rip up to the upside here. So we came back down, came back up as if nothing happened, took out the entire range high here. So we could be coming up to this settlement line at 664. We talk about this settlement line. This is where you open and you settle at end of day. So coming back to the settlement line to test where that was tends to happen a lot. This poop brown color ends up being tested again. So coming back to 664 could be something that we see. Trend dots are strong right now. The cloud is starting to come way above the trend dots here, and the angle of the channel is quite large. So on the 30-second, getting the cross up event of the 4 minute, got that double bottom love on the double bottom idea here after negating all the fib players. This little mini 236 was negated, so the bearish trend based fib is negated here, so I'm deleting that. And we are entering the hourly close in 2 minutes. Trying to give you that play-by-play each and every day. Let's look at the contracts once again. So you got 276 sell side peeled off there in that wick there just above the daily resistance range, but that could be a short pool which they use as fuel after drifting, or a long that took profits and then now they could drift on the short liquidity off that long idea. You want to see blues up here in the top as they hit their market objective, ideally speaking, for that play, unless this is a smart market player that's a market maker putting in their position here at 276 contracts and they know the exact top like that. But basically coming back into the 1,000 contracts for that brief, for those mini pop in the mini players. But it comes back to the trend dot, and you could see this trend dot bounce. These trend dots will hold true if the trend is true. You got the super trend backup plan, and the 1 minute depends on what time frame you're playing. Starting to get that bearish divergence as we drift higher here. We already recovered that fair value gap at 708.50, so that one is clear. I don't think I did new ones, so let's go and take a look real quick at the fair value gaps that maybe exist above us. Turning off momentum when you do that is also a nice idea to do, because it's something you toggle on and off like a heads-up display like this. So you could also turn on the fair value gaps fractal break imbalance. If you don't know how to find them, you can use this indicator, fractal break imbalance. I don't need it, so I'm just not going to use it, but basically we have one here. And yeah, that's a 2 minute one. That one traded fairly, basically traded fairly in here, traded fairly in there. The next one is up in here, between this region and here. So you got two. And this is a daily resistance level, that's why it's yellow. And now we can turn it back on. Boom, boom, boom. And go back into the 30-second here. And the hourly has begun. Do we retrace into some of this for some equilibrium love? Starting to get that bounce off the trend dot. Let's go into the not getting congruence with an idea for a long anymore, saying do not enter. Watch out on the micro time frames. We're breaking the trend dot on the 30-second. The cross down event is flowing like water down a mountain, and you're getting that flash on the 1 minute. Do we get that retrace back into one of these cloud bounce ideas? If you are taking a short, be careful, but you could be seeing some sort of retrace right now. Coming back into those 1,000 contracts of buy side. You had previously some buy side induced up at the tops here. That's that blue up in the top is what you want to see for a short idea, but they're coming back off of this sell side very quickly at the point of control. It could be a bullish order block as they bounce off the 1 minute trend dot. Be very, very careful. Could be bearishly retesting the trend dot and going lower. You're still getting that money flying away on the 1 minute too. Coming back in retracing to that equilibrium point or the cloud could be the next step if it's a sustainable long. You were getting that nice. The bearish divergence wasn't that strong though, so I'd be very careful here. We're holding the trend dot on the 1 minute, not seeing conviction beneath it just yet. Ripping back up, 307 buys right there. So there's some market player, huge contract order came in, 307, and is peeling out from that position. So is there something, there are times where these market players do enter with large amounts of contracts and they know something that we don't, and they enter right as it surges. So there are instances where it does peel out from that point, almost like there's insider trading going on. I've seen that happen before. Like, how did they know right there that's where it's going to reverse? Shout out to everyone here. So we're entering the hour of power here. This is why we marked off the vertical hour. This is the silver bullet. We're looking for a clear fair value gap recovery / divergence / momentum shift, you know, some confluence for a good idea of a trade. We're getting some watch out for your long signals here on the 30-second on the quantum level. We're possibly coming up here, creating some bearish divergence over time as we drift off the trend dot on the 1 minute. If you caught that double bottom idea off this zone from the daily level and the baseline cross up on the 1 minute, you'd be in the moolah. You had a money bag here for the money flow divergence here on the 30-second too. So we're coming back, reclaiming the trend dots. We never lost the trend dot of the 1 minute, so this is why I said be careful of trying to short this right now. That 307 buyer that off the point of control, maybe they're playing the point of control and they saw the point of control was holding. Back at the value area high on the 642 level. 1,000 in buy side induced for the session thus far. And we've reclaimed that liquidity pool, so it disappears. So that's one of those cool features of this free indicator thing, the active zones and the broken zones that we already recovered. So I can see that we're coming back to that settlement line, that poop brown color we always talk about, 664. Looks like that is going to come to reality now. 664 up at that fib level. It's going to be the 0.65 level of this bearish trend-based fib level. Is that the bearish trend-based fib or the bullish? Sorry, I have to go take a look at this really quick. Give me a second. Hourly. So this is the bearish trend-based fib of this larger time frame impulse retrace continuation to the downside. So we got a brief rejection off the 786. We went below it. Now we're coming back above, possibly to the trapdoor at the 706 at 14,662. Do we reject off of this 662 trapdoor region? I call it a trapdoor for a reason. When they do reject off these levels, then you see something pretty intense at that zone. So if we do come to that zone and dump, then you could come all the way down to some fair value gaps in this 329 region. Who knows? Not saying that's going to happen, but if we maintain those fib levels, the 236 had that violent rejection point to the downside. So if you get that 706, we consolidated within there, and the 706 first ripped us down here in the pre-market. During London, we ripped through it, and that's why I call it the trap door. So do we bearishly retest this 706 and then rip further down? That is the question. So let's go. That's what that blue line is, the 706, the 0.65, and some fair value gap at 688. Do we come up to this 688 fair value gap and reject up here, and then the trap door opens? Who knows? Let's go ahead and mark off the hour being up here for the session over here. Over here. Cloud on the 30-second starting to taper here at an angle. Could still get a order block off that cloud on the 30-second. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like on the 1 minute. Still at the trend dot on the 1 minute. Creating that bearish divergence as we drift higher into the shorts, turning them into buy side liquidity. I remember in times past to be like, it has to pull back, it has to. It doesn't have to do anything. So that's why you got to be very careful. And these trend dots will let you know when the trend has subsided when they close with candles with conviction beneath it. As of this moment, it has not. It did that on the 30-second, so if you're playing like a 30-second scalp and just taking points and getting out, you can use that and see these channel average closing, and then it bounces up, and that would be your trend dot on the 1 minute. So the 30-second channel average is generally the trend dot on the 1 minute. So if you're playing a 1 minute play, need that confluence on your side. Shout out to everyone here. By the way, this is all linked in the description if you're new. momentummaster.info. You can see all of the different components like the trend cloud and what they mean. Volume weighted trend cloud that starts to taper as sellers enter. Right now they're playing off the sell side, or the seller liquidity into the turning them into buy side as they squeeze those shorts. Looks like they got another 151 buy side of some market player entering here. Now we're entering into 2,000 in buy side imbalance here. This is also a toss free 14-day trial in the description as well. You can see the footprints, what's behind the candles, how many contracts and where they peel out on their market objective for the session delta. What imbalance in each candle exists. Currently creating more buy side imbalance as the sellers weaken. And so that's why the trend dot, you didn't have any candle with conviction beneath it. This was particularly dangerous because you had these buyback wicks above the trend cloud. So we're just using this as an inducement trap for shorts to show the appearance of weakness and also come back on the mini player longs. But the 4-minute cloud, the trend baseline's still open in an angle here, which is just yet to get started perhaps. Booyah. And you're seeing this like flying away abate and the momentum kind of subside as it's getting harder to assess the sellers here. Cloud on the 4-minute now starting to shift to the upside. You haven't gotten any indecision as of this cross-up event, so you're getting bull hammer, bull hammer, bull hammer to the upside here into the short's face. 91 sell side entered here. It looks like they can take them as rocket fuel to the upside. Value area high at 655. We talked once again about that settlement line. Something to note in the future, the settlement line for the day is something they like to try to revisit. I've seen it happen multiple times, which is why it's here. We pulled back within the MACD Bollinger Band here and started to make a play to the upside in this manner. Starting to get some bearish divergence though on these dots as we pull up here. Let's go ahead and hide the ATOS and see what is going on here. Yeah. Get some bearish divergence, making some lower highs on the Williams as you're making higher highs into price. Super trend is still bullish. Trend dot still bullish on the 1 minute. Angle still pointing to 2 o'clock. Cloud still pointing to 2 o'clock. 4 minute cloud now starting to shift. So these trend dot plays do play out a lot of times, like I've seen. I'm just not trying to play horsey and give back my gains from the pre-market, but you could play these trend dot plays. We did get some hidden bullish divergence off the money flow here. We're making higher lows, lower low on the money flow. The money flying away, just couldn't cut it, and then boom, we boomed up to the upside. Got that money flow hidden bullish. Faster than you can read sometimes, faster than you can read. Starting to make finally a higher high on the dot here. Coming back into that settlement line at 664. If you guys have any questions and or comments, please don't hesitate. I'm happy to answer and take a break from the commentary. And the angle of the cloud here on the 30-second starting to weaken. Curvature is starting to kick in. It's not pointing to 2 anymore. Came back to test it. It's also a lot of minis players most likely, so they're just coming back into those minis longs that are saying you're too aggressive, gentlemen. Looking for that. And this is what you see at the tops of things. You see a lot of blue. So when you see a lot of hundreds and hundreds, like 449 buy side taken here and or induced in longs, and then at the value area high. So this type of inducement, they did it again here, 478 buy side taken here, and then they induced the buy side and or stopped out the shorts, and then they started to pull back, and now they're pulling back into the sell side. And so watching this in conjunction with a key level and or Fibonacci and or momentum shift is where you start to get that idea, getting that money flow divergence on the 30-second, and even just taking that from the 57 to the 37 level is a decent play right there. So if you're just playing the bearish divergence and you just took that for what it was worth, and you have your ATM trailing you into profit, you see the cloud bounce. The cloud bounce is another play that happens often. We haven't kissed the cloud at all yet, So this is the first time kissing the cloud on the 32nd. So getting a reaction off that cloud is not unheard of. So we took back, basically there was a bunch of buys in there too, but overall negative 130 contracts and sell side, a lot of purple into the sell zone, peeling out from that point. So it could be getting that stab up to that settlement line. Still have yet to get indecision, although we're getting a little bit of wickage on both sides, so that indecision is starting to kind of slightly appear, but the thick body here suggesting otherwise. You get the money pointing, the quantum levels pointing momentum to the upside with the green dot here on the quantum, getting that surge up off the cloud bounce idea for the win. Do we come back to that fair value gap at 688? A lot of sell side entering here. Those are the longs taking their profits, and or shorts getting induced to drift it higher perhaps, or some market makers knowing the exact reversal area, but more likely than not they can use this as driftwood to the upside to the fair value gap at 688. 3,000 in buy side imbalance right now. If they peel out above this sell side here, then they're taking these shorts for a ride. And this is why we try to ascertain a level here for that fair value gap recovery. So they offset it with a few buys here. These were definitely longs because they entered after the fact. So if they can offset this 400, these 500 sell side with some buy side, then they can basically pull back, but otherwise they'd be paying these shorts too much. Not seeing the money fly away here on the 32nd or break the trend dot. So it just looks like it's taking these late buyers for a ride here into their sell side stops, or scaring them out and or inducing some shorts. Cloud still mighty thick, got a little bit of a thick burst up in the 30-second zone, still pointing to 2 o'clock, so it's not abating just yet. Same with the 1 minute. $3,000 in buy side inducement as we drift higher. Cross down event, and do not enter or watch out longs. Flash for a split second there on the quantum level. This is averaging lower time frames so that you don't have to look there. So if the 1 second, 5 second, 10 second, these flash bearish, it will let you know. If you're playing the scalp mode or just getting that quick entry. Reclaim the trend dot here on the 1 minute. I'd watch out if you're a short. Getting some long by cool buying back here. 111. Coming back to that 88 fair value gap, we did reach that settlement line. So that settlement line we were talking about at the start of the stream here, this poop brown color, we did come back to it. So we can meander around, reclaim a fair value gap, and start to think of possibly a reversal at a fair value gap zone. Marked off for you here at 88, 688. And I'd rather have my theories be right than enter and be wrong. So just giving the play-by-play of things that come true is more my value to you right now, because I'm already up on the day. And it's going right to that fair value gap as we say it. So I said, watch out for that reclaiming of the trend dot on the 1 minute. And sure enough, boom, 2 minutes later. You got that finger up on the quantum level as the time frames align in your favor. You didn't get any indecision on the 4 minutes, so you should not be looking at shorting just yet. Shout out to all 4 of you watching. Thank you very much. $3,000 buy side liquidity induced for the session, 440 in that last 2 minutes. Now coming back into more buy side, this is what you like to see, like the buy side, the liquidation of the shorts turning blue as they turn to buy side. This is the definition of what happens when shorts get popped.
Fatality.
And posting up into that region, into the fair value gap, and getting a bunch of buy side inducement would be brilliant for the idea of the gap being filled and possibly sliding into something with divergence. Still no divergence on the indicator just yet. Coming back into that fair value gap zone. Boom, we hit the 88 region. How did it react there? $396 in that 2 minutes. Does it eat through that gap like butter, or does it fatigue off of this buy side here, the 396 buy side here? I mean, you could technically, let me go ahead and switch this to a trail stop that is, make sure I'm on MNQ. Am I on MNQ on the other one? Give me a second here. Okay, we are. Oops, too little too late. Looks like it's already starting without me. The train is leaving the station at that fair value gap zone. But getting bought back into it. Not really seeing the sell side hit just yet. We missed the decent entry confirming the accounts were not on NQ. But yes, hit the fair value gap that we outlined, and now starting to get the cross down events of the 30-second. Can you close candles with conviction below the trend dots, particularly on the 1 minute, is what we'd want to see here for the short to be valid. We missed it because we were too busy making sure we weren't going to blow it up with 3 contracts of NQ instead of MNQ, but it's better than being wrong. So that was a perfect kind of slide in like butter into the short idea. You would have been up from 87 down to 65. You're reaching the channel average on the 30 seconds, so you could be, and you're getting that trend dot bounce idea off of the 1 minute. So I'd be careful. You could move your stop just above the trend dot at 76, and then that would stop you out most likely, but it's better than not paying yourself. And then the 4 minute closes in 3 minutes, so does this create an indecision? And that would be the first indecision since this entire bull hammer to the upside path. Boom. Good stream today. Thanks, Effin Book. So getting up to that fair value gap region, getting that rejection, 30-second cloud, basically giving you that baseline sauce. You had the money flying away on the 30-second. Starting to get that indecision on the 4 minute. Closes in 2 minutes, 17 seconds. Can you get the candle with conviction on the 1 minute for the short beneath that cloud? Beneath the trend dot, yes or no? It did it here and then it bought it back up, so be careful of the Undertaker. He rises quickly. It's also the channel average of the 30 seconds, so the fractal-like nature of the time frames is fascinating to me. And they all coincide with the baselines here. The baselines on the 30 second showing that suppression effect. And this is how confluence adds up. So without that fair value gap idea, how would you have known that that was going to possibly occur? You wouldn't. So you have to line up kind of levels, key levels. But do you just use key levels? I mean, I guess technically you could, but you wouldn't have a monitor of how this is playing out or not. And sure enough, rejection of the trend dot on the 30 second, now the 1 minute starting to fatigue, rejection wick, 10 seconds for this to be rejected, and then possibly close and continue lower. That bearish divergence also locking in on the 1 minute. The indecision on the 4 minute starting to create that spinning top effect. I like the spinning top. The thin bodies is where it's at for that true reversal path where we're going. There you go, there you go. Booyah. Starting to possibly break the 30 second for the first time. The cloud got the bounce the first time. Are we going to rip through the cloud? Is this more of a test of the super trend on the 30 second slash cloud on the 1 minute, or are you getting another surge here? Sergio Gutierrez. Looks like you're getting a lot of blue here, so I would expect this to be a DCA downside play for the blue, for the buyers. Take them for a little bit of a sell side ride, rejection off the trend dot, perhaps. You are getting some purple into this too, but overall a lot of blue, showing that there's a lot of buy interest still generated on the retail. Getting that indecision, it did close. Now you're on the next candle, closing beneath the trend dots. The white dragon is now starting to shift positions as he flips into the darkness of the dark cloud. And now getting a little bit more aggressive. Boom. Displacement. Break of the trend dot. Getting a do not enter. Watch out, short longs flash for a split second there. came back to the super trend on the 30-second. And yeah, if we go to the ATAS, let's go see it in conjunction with that. Coming back into 380, 400, 500, 500 sell side contracts taken back here on the longs.
Fatality.
As they retrace into their stop losses and or liquidations of over-leveraged mini players. Coming back to that first time of the cloud kiss on the 1 minute, do we see a buyback off the super trend and the first bear dot on the 1 minute? Is it going to create a double top scenario? That would be where you would take profits of that idea of that fair value play, peel one off there and then leave the runner. Because you never know. So far the super trend on the 1 minute is holding. You're now getting that indecision turning into a bear hammer, and that's how you see the reversal in real time. Preempted and calculated and scripted and seen as the momentum shifts before the momentum even knows what it wants to do, or does it? Are we going to get that bounce off the cloud? We could be seeing it. Let's go see what the contracts dragged in. You're getting 482 sell side taken there in this entire, that's a nice thick purple in that bottom here, but you're still getting a lot of blue generated here, a lot of interest for longs that they could take as fuel to the downside here if they really want to retrace on this onto the sell side. They get those interested players, they say, okay, we'll use your fuel, boom, and they just use it to retrace into the those people, the neophytes trying to jump in at the premium level. They just use their liquidity to test more stop losses for the longs. And you want to see like a market objective target hit, like a huge target. You want to see like 500, 800, 700. And now you're seeing that 30-second cloud thin out as sells start to occur. Coming back to that daily level. And that was basically your play. We had no idea what it was going to do going into the open. It did this little manipulation to the upside, and then you just look for that fatigue point, and that was your low-hanging fruit right there, that fair value gap recovery. And I mean, you still could be seeing this too, because you have a displacement here, right, on the 1 minute. There is a slight gap here at 663 that it could bearishly retest for a B wave. So it could be doing something like this, A, B, and then continue lower, C, like that, down to the equilibrium of this impulse. Let me make sure this impulse is correct because I stopped midway here. And it's just funny because we're just like, you know, I've been that dude scalping both sides before. I'm just not trying to feel that stress right now. But basically seeing this come up to the B wave, that 663 region, possibly bearishly retesting the 30-second cloud, and or trying to reclaim and turn into a wick on the 1 minute. The 1 minute cloud also starting to create a tapering effect as the angle starts to abate and turn slightly to 3 o'clock and possibly 4 o'clock as the baselines attempt to fade on the 4 minute as well, and you come back to kiss the cloud on the 4 minute. And you see how this like cascades from the 30 to the 1 minute, 30 second to the 1 minute to possibly the 4 minute and beyond. so fast, you have to be kind of fast in your reaction to it, or you give back the short. This is why using some ATM strategies is important, and these ATM strategies allow you to have trailing stop losses that follow into the profit factor so that you don't have to think. You just take the profits when it comes back on you, like it does over and over again. So we're coming back to that super trend level, and that small displacement fair value gap region on the 1 minute was eaten through as if it was nothing. So if you start to come back above this high, then basically this is not a B wave, it's actually continuing into a C higher. Let's go see what the contracts dragged in. So you got basically on the session still some buy side induced here. As more shorts enter here, getting closer to the origin point, so it's not really a B just yet. You'd need to see some rejection wicks at this point here. You've negated the bearish super trend on the 30-second and reclaimed the cloud and reclaimed that fair value gap as if it wasn't there. And this is how you see the bear hammer turn to indecision, and it turned to indecision, and so you would be out of that idea. And this is turning into a potential C wave continuation. But rarely do you have a V-shaped like this. You'd have like a double top scenario of some kind. It doesn't always have to be shallow. It can be an extended M. This was your extended M. This is a potential shallow one. The cloud is thin, and the 1 minute cloud can it reclaim it? Are these stacking money effects going to hold? Is this a bear trap? How many bears are biting the bait here? A lot of purple entering here, which is most likely not longs but shorts expecting it to go down. So if they peel out from this 665 region, they're going to take them up as rocket fuel. Getting a lot of ambiguousness of purple and blue here. They're trying to stop out the longs and or induce some shorts. You got that hidden bullish here. Check this out. So you had from this pivot point a higher low and a lower low on the oscillator on the money flow. So you have this money bag and the gem, because you have two different money flow divergence indicators embedded within the code. Bounce off that 50 SMA on the Renko 16 bar. Booyah. If we can't maintain the trend dots, though, it's just a potential stop hunt for the shorts and or inducement for the longs. You'd need to have some conviction closes here. Looks like that's your conviction right there. Boom. So the next fair value gap zone would be up here at the 754 region. Do we make it all the way up to 754? It's entirely possible. $532 buy side induced and or taken with the short squeeze that just occurred at the value area high at 693. And the green dot tells you to watch out on your shorts, and the red dot tells you to watch out on your longs. And this was your example of the Undertaker coming below, grabbing that sell side, only to turn into an order block off that adaptive moving average, and boom, to the upside. It just went to the super trend to knock out as many longs as they could, and then just continue drift into the short liquidity. Hitting the value area high twice and rejecting off it, inducing some buy side here. 4,000 imbalance in buy side contracts for the session as we take this to the upside here. Let's look for some bearish divergence on a toss, shall we? Might miss the entry, but we zoom out here and we get higher highs, and if you're making lower highs on this, then you would be finished, but we're not. We're making higher buy side, so we're hitting more shorts as we hit higher. So that is the idea. When you're making less buys and higher highs, then their market objective is possibly complete. So this is insinuating they're not complete just yet, but what do I know? Okay, so and we did not take a single trade because we did not need to. Once again, we were taking some trades on the London session. We're up like $400, so we didn't want to give anything back and trigger ourselves. So we've been just doing the play-by-play. Been pretty accurate with what levels to look at. This was the key low-hanging fruit here at that fair value gap zone, and watching the trend dots fade ever so slowly. And then when you started to see this indecision on the 1 minute, you could have taken that for a good, 70 to 35 is pretty decent for a ABC to the downside there. Starting to get the bearish divergence here as we reject again off of that fair value gap region. So we previously had 4,000 in buy side inefficiency up at the 692 region, and then we hit it a second time and had some sells induced, and we're now peeling into the sell side once again. And this angle, this insinuation is starting to pick up on the 1 minute. It was previously curving, but now it's picking up to the 2 o'clock angle, so watch out on this cloud kiss of the 1 minute. Same with the 30 seconds, starting to curve up here in a manner, starting to insinuate more upside inbound. Watch out if you're in a short. They are possibly coming for some more liquidity here as they come back above this pool of shorts. If they come back above the 74.50 region, they could be giving this sell side a ride to the upside. You already hit the fair value gap, so I'm going to delete this level. Bounce off the cloud, perhaps. Yeah, just not liking the point I'm at. It's a premium level, not my key zone. My key zone was back here in the pre-market with the rocket ships at support. And that's why we took that divergence for 90 ticks on NQ actually. So we're chilling in no rush. But the 4 minutes starting to get baselines above the price here. If you start to close some indecision above the baselines here, you could be seeing a kind of top idea of a potential reversal point. We're just shy of the 700s, so do they go up to the 700s first, or do they front run it? $80 is normally a thing, so we're having this issue at the 80 zone. Shout out to everyone here. We got about 10 more minutes. Once again, if you're wondering what in the world you're looking at, this is momentummaster.info. You can scroll down to features, read about everything like the trend cloud, the baselines, what are they, the stochastic array, why were we seeing rockets at the bottom of the range. It's 32 different indicators over 7 time frames of information, more than my brain can process, but it snipes bottoms for Bitcoin as well. We had the bottom for Bitcoin back here at 26,699 when everyone was putting out bearish projections, and their audience got bear trapped, but then is too juvenile to admit or call out their leader. Okay, so starting to get that cross up of the baselines now, coming back above the trend dots. That cloud bounce idea was real. The angle when it's pointing to, you want to see the thinning of the cloud. So here's what we're going to pull this 4 minute up above here and show you what to basically think about. So what you would be seeing for a bearish idea is you would see the price come beneath this and then bearishly retest the cloud as it's thinning. So for a short, you want this two things. You want the cloud to be curving and thinning in the purple manner, which it's not doing. The price is above it. So if you're seeing this candle with conviction break the super trend, and the super trend is in your favor, and then you're starting to get super trends, so you're starting to get this like super trend, the bearish super trend pointing in your favor. So you have the super trend, you have the trend cloud, and then you have the baselines kind of pointing to the downside here. So you'd have like baseline cross events basically pointing down. And that's your trinity for the short. And conversely, for the long, you'd be seeing the same thing. You'd see it flip the script on the super trend, you'd see the cloud shift, and you'd see the baselines crossed up in your favor, and there you go. You know, if I just look at what it was earlier today when I was looking at this, you had the baselines in your favor. The cloud was in your favor on the 30-second, and the super trend flipped on the 30-second here. So that's why I had the triple sauce. I had the trend cloud shifting, the super trend in my favor. I was right up against the 1 minute cloud. I was seeing it with some bullishness. And so that's the type of thing I'm looking for. That's the type of thing that is the sauce, quote unquote, for the... So when you don't have those in favor, then you're going against the indicators. You're setting yourself up for some doom. So I'm gonna basically take that idea here. Let's just... I mean, I can just do it again in 1 minute anyway, but that's kind of what you're looking for a bearish play. That's your trinity for Momentum Master right there. The baseline's crossing, super trend on your side, and the trend cloud shifting with some momentum to the other side. And it's kind of a C wave potential. So we're not seeing that just yet. So just not really keen on it just yet. And you got that thick cloud on the 30-second. It's just like not in the super trend in the bullish nature, so it's keen for a long. You had the one baseline working against you here. The potential you had was back here at that first fair value gap play. It started to shift and you had that bearish retest idea, but then when it started to come back above and create the bull trend dot again and flip the super trend, that's when you would have been like, nah, I'm not playing this idea. Needs to hold the super trend in your favor for the bearish nature, and the cloud needs to shift. The angle on the 1 minute also shifting still to 2 o'clock, so we could just see another bullish order block fill off of this. Got 5 minutes for the hourly to be complete. So now is in the trap phase where it's trying to trap both sides and play their emotions. So it's barcoding on both sides right now. And the algorithm's taking over at this point, so whoever enters is entering into the gambling zone. If we look at the 1 minute cloud, it is starting to thin in a manner here, and the angle is shifting. So if this breaks the cloud after we finish the stream and you're getting this indecision potential cross down on the 4 minute, it looks like it's setting up for the hourly close to do something like this. Exactly what we laid out for you. So I'd watch for that cloud structure to shift here as we sign off. Are we going to get this shift of the 1 minute cloud? Are we going to break with conviction beneath it and then bearishly retest it with that purple super trend and that trinity on our side? I don't know. Or are we going up to this fair value gap and going to squeeze the short some more? I don't care to predict beyond the moment, so we will see where it goes. So far it's holding the cloud. In trend cloud we trust. So many times the trend cloud will save you from being wrecked. Trend dot on the 4-minute also holding. I think there's 3 Japanese candle styles or strategies which are the most valid of all. 2 of which, actually all 3 of which we use. The Renko is 1, 2 is Heikin-ashi over here on the 4-minute with the indecision and whatnot, and 3 is Ichimoku, which is a little hint about what's embedded slightly inside the idea of the strategy of the cloud. So it's not Ichimoku, so if you study it, it's not going to be the same, but that's where I drew my inspiration for it from. So those are the 3 valid strategies combined. With our powers combined, we are a valid system. So getting that bounce off of the trend cloud, $4,000 in buy side. More sells entering here as the longs peel off and or shorts induce to go higher. The value area high at 701 now. And it looks like we're just holding those trend dots on the 4-minute and drifting up into the fair value gap up above, perhaps. And the hour is closed. Well, ladies and gents, I thank you for your time and I thank you for your interest. And thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day, and we'll do the same, bringing the fire, the accuracy, the precision, all that fun stuff, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.